Hey, you guys. I am here with Danny Thomas with Nomads, and we're going to talk about their upcoming EP that they are releasing very soon. Hey, Danny, I'm glad you're here.
Hey, Stephanie, thank you for having me. It's good to see you again. There it goes. At least my kids are developing that good habit to turn off the light every time they leave a room. So,
That's right. I do that sometimes. I'll turn the light off and they're like, Mom. And I'm like, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to.
that's cool.
Yeah, good to
Yeah.
see you too. It's been like almost a year since,
Yeah.
which is unreal because I seem to run into you on and off at festivals. And
Mhm.
so it's been a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a while. I think if the last time that I played, I don't, were you out at the Undead Fest
Yeah,
last year?
that's the
Yep.
last
Okay.
time we chatted.
Yep. So that's the last time I've been on a stage. So yeah, we're excited to get back out there and yeah, we'll see you at Audio Feed, right?
No, I
No, oh,
can't make it this
no.
year.
Bummer, alright, well,
I just
that's okay.
moved, and so because of my new job, I'm having to commit to hours, and I'm gonna be managing the space, and so I've gotta learn all the things, and so I'm having to play grown up for audio feed this year,
Yeah.
but hopefully only this year I'll have to miss, but if y'all can make it to audio feed, you'll get to see Nomads play. You said Friday night, right?
Friday night, yep, we're playing the, Resuscitation Records, showcase, and, really excited for that. Lot of good friends out on that whole lineup, but definitely that night, very excited to see, yeah, so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so tell me a little bit about Nomads. Who is doing what in the band?
Okay, so Nomads formed roughly well, it was August 11th last year. Danny Maldonado of Clear Convictions and I have been talking for a while since everything had blown up with No Treaty. So roughly about a year and a half, and then we finally got to meet at Audio Feed, and we're hanging out. And then just like a month later, he had to fly out here to the Twin Cities for some work, and so he was like, "Hey, I'm going to be in town, so obviously I'm gonna find a way to hang out." And we went ate. It was my daughter's birthday, and so he just came and ate with us, and then came to the house and hung out. And he's like, "Hey, do you want to just start like a straightforward hardcore project?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, you're my buddy. Why wouldn't I want to do that?" So we started writing from there, got a couple of songs. We brought in for a time Ryan from Officer Negative was doing drums, and then he had to step away, just so much stuff going on in his own life. So it was just Danny and I, and then we were outsourcing a couple other things, trying to get it all dealt with. But we did end up writing a whole EP together. And so, yeah, really, that just we were kind of slow rolling it for a bit, and then, of course, with everything that happened with no treaty, it really allowed me to take that all that time that I had and focus that in on Nomads, which did come at a good time because it still needed something to pour into creatively, and so that's just
Yeah.
what I've been doing. And so, yeah, so we wrapped that all up about January, February time frame, and now we're fixing to release some stuff. So it's right now it's just Danny and I. That's kind of the hub of it. And then a good brother of mine here at the church, Ed, he plays bass in it. And for the time being, and we're still waiting on I guess just the commitment wise to it. But right now, he seems and he's told us he's very into it. Is Julian Craddock, the young gentleman who's played for E-Ray and filled in for Clear Convictions and so many others over the last year. He's an incredible drummer, and he was very much into it. We really love the dude's heart. He's already serving at his own church, so we don't have to deal with that. So he already has a servant mindset. So it really fit in well with what we're doing.
That's awesome. And there are 7 songs on here, which is a good little chunk.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's really cool how all those had come together. Um, as soon as and I will not tease which ones were they. I guess after we release the full EP, which Lord willing will be by September, we'll have that full thing out. Is uh, you know Danny had punched out 2 fairly quickly back to back, and then They just kind of started coming. And there was a few that we did trim the fat on, and we are like, maybe we save that for later. Maybe Danny guards that for something else. But all the ones that we did right, I mean, really came together quite beautifully. I really love how the whole thing flows together. And so, you've got to listen to what we have. Took some advice from Mitch from Pipe Bomb about how to this particular app to throw it in there. You can hear everything together, and man, like it's just it's crazy to me how that all came together, and it just smooths transitions from one song to the other, in my opinion, right? But there we are.
Yeah, there's definitely a theme.
Hmm.
Like, it's you could feel like reading the lyrics because I don't always hear very well, so lyrics are perfect for me. But like reading the lyrics along with everything, it was like all the theme went very well together, which is like the freedom and death to self, right?
Hmm.
Which go hand in hand. Okay, so how much are we able to talk about some of the songs and stuff on there?
Well, ooh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about when this will be out, but we can definitely talk about maybe we could definitely talk a little bit about liberty and death, and I think we could talk a little bit about the. mm, I guess we're gonna try to do this at audio feed, and that would be sheep among wolves. I would feel cool with talking about. But if you got some other questions that maybe we can talk around the songs and not so much hit them directly, then yeah, let's do that.
Okay, what about the declaration? Let's start with that one, right?
Mm,
Okay, so one thing I love in the lyric list that you sent me is that you have the scriptures with each song, which I think is so good because, like, say you are reaching somebody that doesn't know Christ at all, like, has very little introduction to the word, and they see this and they're like, this is a really cool song that sounds really cool, but, like, this is also scriptural,
mhm.
which could totally, like, kick in that curiosity,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah,
Was that
so
kind of the thought process?
yeah, I mean, I wanted to be able to. Well, I wanted people to be able to see where my mind was at when I'm writing this. I would like to say, um, not to put any of the lyrics that I write to be on the same level as any scripture, but all of the lyrics that I have are generally they're all influenced by scripture. Somewhere I was reading and it hit me. I mean, that's the passage that is referenced at the beginning of declaration is where the inspiration for the name nomads came from. And I initially tried to push sojourner as the band name, but my good buddy Danny said that is a very hard word to pronounce. And so
And
I said,
spell.
yeah. So I said, you're probably right. And it's probably not going to work. So, it was like, okay, nomads. And so, yeah, when I had that, I remember like I had read it as I was going through my Bible reading this year. And uh, I was like, man, I want to make sure that I come back to that. And then I forgot it, of course, like all things, 'cause I didn't write it down. So I ended up having to go you know, uh, through some searches to try to find that particular passage because I could only remember like one of those phrases. And then it brought me back. I was like, all right, yeah, sweet. And it was really sweet how that song even came together itself. Danny had, as he's passing things back and forth and we're trying to figure out how are we gonna step into this? And he's like, here, check this out. And I guess for everybody's situational awareness, Danny does not like intro tracks. Like he just rather get right into a song. And as we got it done, it was like, well, I guess we got an intro track, dude. And so I remember Ryan was teasing him a little bit about that. But it's a sweet song. It's and it hits pretty hard, early on. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I love it. Okay, so are you gonna be at Furnace Fest this year?
I sure am. But
I
my
am
daughter does
totally
not know.
introducing you to my friend Bo because Bo used to have Nomads Land and his counseling is called Sojourn Counseling. And
Oh,
so when
sweet.
you say that, I'm like, that heart is like just the same. And Bo will be there. He actually does a really cool service at
Okay,
Furnace Fest. His
cool.
counseling focuses on PTSD,
Hmm.
which as a military guy, I know that you probably have a heart and a passion for.
Yeah, yeah.
And he actually, like, does a lot of military work for that
Hmm.
reason.
Sure.
but they actually have a bus at Furnace Fest that's like a desensitization bus that you can go in just to, like, get away from the noise and calm your system down and all that sort of stuff, and his
Well, that's
yeah, his counseling Sojourn Counseling does that, so I'll have to introduce you guys this year because I love
yeah,
that those terms together.
yeah, that's rad. No, I'm down. I look forward to it. Yeah. I'll only
We
be there Sunday, but I'll definitely be there. So,
Me too.
all right, right on.
So I'll see you there. Okay.
Sick.
So one thing I love about the declaration is I do feel like that's one thing that you are really, really good at. I don't know if it specifically comes with you, but I feel like you're really good at kind of creating like an anthem and something that you can like grip onto. And so that's probably a gift God has given you with just kind of your personality with this kind of like an aggressive personality, but for the good. It's like to love on others aggressively, but that can be really hard. People don't always receive that.
Yeah, I see that. That's I mean, grew up in a military family, so it was always very aggressive anyway. So I've always been that way. But yeah, like with I think I'm pretty intense, right? Like, and that's what I think most of my friends would say is that I'm a fairly intense person. Even Danny was, as we were talking over this last couple weeks, looking at our release coming up. He's like, Danny, you just sprint, man. You just go really hard. He's like, "I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's just who you are." I'm like, "Yeah, I guess that's right." My wife is on that call, and she's like, "Mm-hmm." So I do, but yeah, I mean, that must be something where the Lord has just gifted me and caused me to be sensitive in the whole anthem aspect. I always want to try to as whether it was in No Treaty, previous bands, this band, I always want to make sure that there's something that people can come together in on. Like my whole objective, even in No Treaty as we were writing all that new music, and the same thing is here is like I want to get to the point where I don't have to sing these songs, right? I want to get other people in it and have they can steal the mic and pass it around.
Yes.
So many bands that I love, right? That's what I seen. Even like when I was at Furnace Fest 2 years ago, seeing Shai Hulud for the first time ever, and watching that happen. I had just seen Comeback Kid at the beginning of 2025, and I got to talk very briefly. I'm only talking like maybe 30 seconds. Got to talk to Andrew Nuffield, but at the end, he saw me at the front of the crowd there, and he like at that for Wake the Dead, he just handed me the mic. And so like at the end, I am singing this, and then I have everybody here, and like then you get to pass. It's just, but that's the kind of stuff that I want. I want people to be able to own that music themselves, right? We're nomads, but we are nomads, right? And that's the
Yes.
driving force behind that. So
Well, and I think, yes, I think that that's exactly what you capture so very well. And I am like you, like that warrior heart, kind of that aggressive spirit. And so I guess it really speaks to me, and I can always pull it out because I'm like, yeah, like that, like the whole JCHC thing, right? And I feel like this whole EP has a very, like, New York hardcore feel with the JCHC heart, right? And I love it, like, it kinda I felt like I was listening to, like, a modernized kind of agnostic front, kind of feeling, and I was like, "Yes, but it's
mhm,
all for Jesus."
yeah, well that's it. Like with where Danny and I are crafting this music, and it was him and I at the beginning, and he sent me one track, and I guess I can talk about it because I knew people will hear it later on. But "At All Costs" is the first song we wrote, and then from there it kind of took on a little bit more, some more melodic vibes to it. But I really do think that all that New York hardcore feel, the agnostic front influence, that's all coming from Danny Maldonado. I mean, he captured it well when he was like, "Yeah, let's do this," and then he's like, "I got an idea." I'm like, "Man, I I really love this." While I like playing, super heavy stuff, metal and all that, I've always been a hardcore kid, and I grew up listening to a lot of metal. I really did. but it was sometime I was like 16, 17. Uh, Somebody turned me on to, No Innocent Victim, Bloody Sunday, and a few others. And I think sometime around there I got turned on to Stretch Armstrong as well. And
Yes.
I don't know, there was an energy to it that I loved more. So when I started playing, music after high school, it was hardcore for me. And now that I'm in this position, I mean, I love it. I'm really excited about all this. And as I've been passing some of this stuff, teasing it around or sharing it with some other friends of mine or other folks that we're trying to work with, I mean, people are really loving it. So I know that it isn't just it's not just us, behind the screen here trying to get something together, but really there's something else moving that people love, and I really do think it's the Lord. Just even how it all kind of came together almost effortlessly. So yeah,
I agree. So for me, when I first came into the kinda Christian punk scene back in the early 2000s, like, Officer Negative was one of my favorites, like, I absolutely loved what they were doing, and there again, the anthem, right? Jesus Christ Hardcore, and you could really grip onto those, and so I feel like you've got that same intensity for 2026, right? It's this modern intensity, but the same kind of feel. And I love seeing that come back because as much as I love the metal scene and the heavy metal that has been very, very popular, that's not always the genre that I listen to in my and this is something I can like listen to driving down the road and be screaming.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's what I hope. It's super cool when, as I've been in both of these projects now, and my kids are right there, right? They're you know, they're they could be, no treaty or nomads history buffs here, right? They could give you the scoop. But they're the ones that have been listening to these songs in the versions that they've come out and they hear them. And so sometimes, like, be driving down the road and my kid's like, "Oh, I want to listen to music." Okay, well, what do you want to listen to? Their favorite one is that the catchy song from the Lego movie, right? But
Yep.
every now and then they'll ask to listen to one of these new Nomad songs because of how catchy it is, right? It gets
Yeah.
an earworm. And I'm like, well, it's just super cool. And my kids will be going around the house and they'll be singing it just like they were with the No Treaty stuff, just like, but they are some of these other bands that we listen to, the Sleeping Giant and whatnot. Like, they have that very
Yes.
anthem feel as well. So,
Yes.
I think it's cool, and I think this it's great the timing that we are in. Even just seeing there are some hardcore bands coming back around. That scene's starting to come alive a little bit
Yep.
more. So it's kind of a good time to get right into that. But yeah, just excited for it nonetheless.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this liberty and death really quickly.
Okay.
I'm just going to use the last three lines the give me liberty, give me death, death to the flesh. Because our culture is so much give me liberty or give me death, right?
Yeah,
It's an
yeah.
either or.
Mhm.
So tell me your perspective on why it has to be both.
Yeah, so I think this is where I mean a lot of our westernized Christianity probably misses the mark is we want our cake and we want to eat it too, to use another expression here. But the thing is that there is an old man that is competing for life still within us, and that old man or woman, right, has to die. That old person does have to die, and in that, that's where we have that freedom because he's latching on, right? He's trying to gain control, and I really see, that's where like the beginning of it, right? You want freedom, but you can't save yourself, right? And so it's got to be the two have to come together. Like we see that in Romans chapter 6 that Paul tells us that we're to identify with Jesus in his death. And really that death allows the new man to come alive and really for us to experience that freedom within Christ to walk in that newness of life, and that's what we want. That's what we need. And so that's where I see, yeah, the whole "give me liberty or death." I see that more in that patriotic sense, but in this, it definitely way beyond that. And we're trying to invite people into the fact that you've got to suffer really to be able to experience that freedom. And it's not a works thing; it's just the natural course of it all. My own life, I deal with that as well as seeing things that I thought were supposed to happen, things that I wanted to have happen whether in my career or other aspirations. If I was allowed to have those things and those dreams didn't die off, I would be a terribly different person.
Yep.
And that's a hard thing that I still wrestle with. Even as me and my wife talk about things that have happened over the last year and, looking at a year from now, I would have hit my 20th year in the military. If I had gotten all the things I wanted, my marriage probably wouldn't have survived. I may not have, been around for my kids, a lot of things. But it's that dying to self that has to happen in order for that new life to really continue.
How do you explain how that creates liberty and freedom for people?
Yeah, so I mean, I can take it back to, same kind of thing I've been riding on for I don't know the last 3 or 4 years, but it is, Jesus says in, John 8 that if you would remain in my words, you'd be my disciples, you'd know the truth, and the truth would set you free. And only a few verses down in 36, because I think that was 31 and 32, he says that, whom the Son sets free is free indeed. The thing is that we are all like every single one of us as full to the brim of lies. We get told lies, we've told ourselves lies, and we tell ourselves that these things that make us feel good, that they're good, they're true. And it takes a while to work all of those things out, and if you've been told them long and hard all your life, for me it was that, Dan, it's always going to be the military. It's always been the military for you. That's it. There's really no other course for your life. I still work through that lie. I'm still dealing with that. But what when those things, parts of that lie get taken apart and those parts of me die off, that's where I can start seeing clearly and experiencing the freedom in truth. And that's really where it comes down to is we have liberty in truth. And the truth is Jesus, right? He is the truth, the one that sets us free. And so that's where a lot of people where they're like, but I know how this has made me feel. I know that this feels good, this has got to be right, but it's not. I could eat all the ice cream I want every day and it would taste really great, but ultimately it does nothing good to nourish me. I've got to eat the right things, even if I don't like, right? So sometimes you just need to.
Yep.
But it's the painful truth in it all. And there's a death to it and there's a discipline to it. And, even just things that recently have, gone on in my life, it's, well, yeah, I don't like it, but is the Lord still with me? Is he still going to do stuff with me? I mean, look at Elijah, right? Where
Yeah.
he did all these great things, went against the prophets of Baal. And then you see in the next chapter, he's running from Jezebel, right? Oh, I'm getting, it's, I mean, this suffering that he experienced was really great for him. And when he came out of it, now he can go forth and do things. And that's the same thing with me. I've got to suffer. I've got to let things die off. Things that I perceive to be one way, God may have it another way. And ultimately, we have that promise that he who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it until the day of Christ Jesus. And if we can keep that perspective, then we know that those things that will die off, it's ultimately going to be better. It's ultimately going to let more truth in. And then that truth really does give you what Jesus talks about, that life and life more abundantly.
Absolutely. One thing I've always loved about your shows is you sharing your testimony because you have such an intense testimony. Is that gonna be continued to be your goal as you perform?
Absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. I want to point people to the truth, right? I just see it. And as things continue to get crazier in this world and more lies are being told and the information is hard to discern, people need to lean into what the truth is. And really, all those other things, you could, choose your favorite conspiracy theory, you know, you know, uh, pick your favorite, I don't know, politician to listen to or whatever. Like, there's just so many things that have to get unraveled. But the one person that I have absolute certainty in is Jesus.
If they only knew what we went through to get this recording done today, right? Yes. Battle with the non-techies trying to get tech to work for sure. All right. Heaven's Metal Magazine. Y'all check it out. The Nomads Hardcore coming out this week, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.